What's up, Gooners? Welcome back to AFC Daily News. Today we've got 4 massive Arsenal stories to bring you, with the latest news and updates coming straight from the Emirates. So if you're a passionate Arsenal supporter, you definitely won't want to miss this. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get straight into it. Let's start with Fabrizio Romano, who has just dropped a bombshell regarding Ezri Konsa. Let's check it out.
In terms of busy hours, busy days, it's very busy at Arsenal in the last 48 hours. Why? Because Ezri Konsa, the centre-back from Aston Villa, always been a top target for Arsenal this summer, is now closing in on his move to the Gunners. The deal is almost done. From what I'm hearing, is 99% done, so the here we go could come any moment. I would say any minute at this point. That's why I'm constantly checking my phone. But what I can tell you is that the agreement between clubs is almost done. And it's about the owners of Aston Villa and owners at Arsenal in contact to find the best solution possible for all parties. The player has agreed on personal terms. There was a call this morning between the agents of Ezri Konsa and Arsenal to approve the contract, and they got the green light. Now the two clubs are accelerating on the valuation, so I think this could go quite fast for Ezri Konsa to become the new defender for Arsenal. Can cover centre-back and right-back position, English international, so for Arsenal, obviously a good opportunity, and they are ready to proceed, also because over the recent weeks they tried for some other defender, for example Marc Pubil at Atletico Madrid, but Atleti have no intention at all to negotiate, to discuss, and so Pubil is staying and Arsenal are going for Ezri Konsa.
Gooners, when David Ornstein says closing in, you know the deal is happening, full stop. The Athletic journalist has confirmed that Arsenal are closing in on a deal to sign Ezri Konsa from Aston Villa, with work advancing to finalise the move after dialogue at ownership level helped reduce the valuation gap that had been the central sticking point all summer. Personal terms are not expected to be an issue. This is happening. And here is the detail that makes this story even more satisfying than just the transfer itself. Because Berta has done it again. The exact same patient negotiating blueprint that saved Arsenal £25 million on Guimaraes has just been applied again with Konsa. Arsenal opened at approximately £35 million. Villa wanted £60 million. They held firm. Time passed. Ownership-level conversations happened, and the deal is expected to land at around £45 million. £15 million below what Villa originally demanded. 2 separate deals this summer, 2 separate patient strategies, 2 separate times Berta has refused to be rushed or bullied into overpaying. The saving on Konsa alone compared to Villa's asking price is £15 million. Combined with the Guimaraes saving of £25 million, that is £40 million of intelligent negotiating that can now be redirected toward the left winger and striker Arsenal still need. That is not small change. That is the entire budget for another significant signing. Hand of Arsenal have confirmed that Konsa was always the preferred target throughout this entire defensive search, ahead of Quansah, Romero, Pubil and every other name that emerged during the window. Arsenal specifically wanted Premier League experience given the injuries to Saliba and Timber, and Konsa fits that brief more completely than any alternative that was available. Think about what is arriving. 48 appearances last season for Villa. Europa League winner. Every England group game started at the World Cup until the semi-final. Comfortable at centre-back and right-back. A player whose own teammate, Ollie Watkins, said Vinicius Jr. could not get past in training. At £45 million, that is elite business. Berta is doing it again, Gooners, and it never gets old watching him work. So Gooners, does Berta's negotiating masterclass on Konsa give you complete confidence in everything he is doing in this window? And how excited are you about seeing Ezri Konsa in red and white? Drop everything in the comments right now. Okay, Gooners, this is the update I have been waiting to deliver all week, and it feels absolutely brilliant to say it. Miles Lewis-Skelly is safe. The saga is over, and it ended in the most satisfying way possible. David Ornstein has confirmed that Manchester United are closing in on a deal for Brighton's Carlos Baleba in a move worth around £60 million plus add-ons. And for Arsenal fans, that news is genuinely wonderful, because United were one of the most prominently linked clubs with Lewis-Skelly all summer through intermediaries offering him to multiple clubs. If United's midfield need is addressed by Baleba, their interest in Lewis-Skelly effectively ends. Simple as that. Chelsea had also been offered Lewis Skelly through intermediaries, but their main midfield targets are now appearing to be Adam Wharton and Alex Scott. They have distanced themselves from the situation too. Think about what this means in its totality. The two biggest Premier League rivals who had been circling around Arsenal's 19-year-old Champions League final starter have both moved on to other targets. Lewis Skelly is not available. He does not want to leave, and now the clubs that were theoretically his most likely destinations have found their answers elsewhere. Arteta called him exceptional. That was not manager speak. That was an honest assessment of a player who has been one of the most important figures in the final stretch of Arsenal's title-winning run, and in the biggest European night of recent memory. He is the only reliable left-footed option from deep in the squad. He is a decade younger than the other established midfield options. He started a Champions League final against João Neves and Vitinha and did not look out of place for a single second. You simply do not sell that player at 19 for any midfielder currently available in this market. The fact that it was even a conversation this summer, driven by intermediaries pushing him to clubs without Arsenal's knowledge or blessing, should never have created the anxiety it did. Arteta was never going to let him go. Berta was never going to sanction it. And now the clubs making noise around him have moved on. Lewis Skelly is an Arsenal player. He is building his legacy. He is going nowhere. And that is the best possible news of the entire week. So Gooners, how relieved are you that United going for Baleba effectively ends any serious interest in Lewis Skelly? And what do you think his ceiling actually is if he continues on this trajectory? I want every single thought in the comments. Right, Gooners, let us talk about Ethan Nwaneri, because the BBC's Sammy Mokbel has just dropped the update that every single Arsenal fan who has been stressed about this situation needed to hear. Arsenal are prioritising a loan move for Ethan Nwaneri this summer and do not wish to sell him permanently. The clubs showing interest include AC Milan, RB Leipzig, Borussia Dortmund and Premier League side Fulham. But the key word is loan. Arsenal are keeping hold of this kid. And that is exactly the right decision. I want to be completely straight with you about why this matters so much. Nwaneri is 19 years old. He came through Hale End. He holds the record as one of the youngest players to appear in the Premier League. And after his difficult loan spell at Marseille, where Roberto De Zerbi's departure disrupted everything before it even started, he has come back into pre-season looking, in Arteta's own words, like a different man. The pre-season goal against MK Dons told you everything about his confidence levels right now. That stunning curler was not a fluke. It was a player who has processed a difficult experience, worked on his game, and returned ready to prove what he is actually capable of. That version of Nwaneri, motivated, mature, focused, is precisely the player who deserves a carefully chosen loan destination, rather than a permanent exit that cuts his Arsenal story short before it has properly begun. The loan options are genuinely exciting. Leipzig in Germany would give him Bundesliga football at a high level with a club that knows how to develop young attackers. Dortmund have a legendary track record of turning talented teenagers into elite players. Milan under Amorim would be Champions League football in one of the most iconic clubs in world football. Any of those destinations represents a genuine step forward rather than a convenient parking spot. The one caveat Mokbel included is worth noting. The only way this stance changes is if a club comes in with a permanent offer significantly above Arsenal's valuation. So far that has not happened, and based on what we are seeing from Nwaneri in pre-season, Arsenal are going to want to keep that option firmly in their own hands. A loan, the right loan, and then home. That is the plan. Trust it. So Gooners Conceds. Which of the loan destinations do you think would be best for Nwaneri's development? Leipzig, Dortmund, Milan or Fulham for Premier League football? Drop your pick in the comments right now. Alright Gooners, that's it for today's news video, so hit that subscribe button right now if you haven't already. This window is delivering exactly what Arsenal needed, and you definitely don't want to miss what's coming up over the final 2 weeks. Hit the button immediately, it's totally free. See you next time Gooners. Come on Gunners!